moments to think in your own personal lives, the last good journey you took. To think back, what happened on that journey. The first time you've gone to someplace. Of course, you can open Arizona highways and you wish you could go to every place that they show you. Well, we live in a great state, and God has blessed us with so many wonderful gifts and places to go. You just need the time and energy. But that's special. And when you went to this first place you've never been before, hopefully your eyes were opened, as well as your ears and your heart, to take in all that was new, all that was different from where you came from. And that's important, I think, because we all go on different journeys in our life. Let us look at our history for a few moments. We go back and we hear about the Israelites. The Israelites were in Egypt, as we know, for many, many years, suffering under slavery, being persecuted, and the list goes on and on. But these were God's people. People say, well, why didn't God interfere or try to come in before this? Well, he did. He sent Moses. He sent Moses to liberate these people, to take them out of that suffering. And what they did was cross the Red Sea. They went into the desert. They were there for some time, wandering and going forth, because many of them decided not to be faithful to God and start worshiping other gods. But those who remained faithful and continued to give their presence to God, what happened? They made it to the Promised Land. And then you look at our friends we've been hearing about quite frequently over the past few weeks. One's 90 years old, the other's 100. Their names are Sarah and Abraham. Look at the life that he lived and she lived. Here, waited until they were in their 90s or so. And they finally have a child. Remember that story a few weeks ago? We heard about the visitors who came to visit them and told them that Sarah would have a child within a year. And now, look what happens to Abraham. God says to Abraham, I want you to take your son Isaac, and I want you to offer him up in sacrifice. Holy cow. Stop and think. You are parents. Would you let your son or daughter, that happen to your son or daughter, and let that happen? Isaac, not Isaac, and that was Isaac who was his son. But Abraham, listen, and he took his son, as difficult as it was. And we read that whole story, we see he was ready to bring the knife down onto his son when an angel grabbed his arm. He showed his faithfulness to God. That was a test that God had for him. And you look at our own lives, every one of us are on journeys like Abraham and Sarah. God is testing us time and time again in our life. We have our trials, we have our difficulties that come about. It could be injuries, it could be a number of things that happen. And God's testing us because this life is really a test ground. What He's promised us is the kingdom. And if you and I want to get to that kingdom, we just can't sit back and do nothing. We've got to stop and say, have I been faithful to this God who has created me? This God who has given me life? This God who gives me mercy and love? Have I been faithful to this God? Because one day, you and I are going to stand before Him. And He's going to ask you, what did you do with the graces and the life that I gave you? What's going to be our response? And if we need to change our lives, God's giving us that opportunity. We don't know when God's going to call you or me. You look back over the past year, the number of people who died in this community, and those who've already died this year. We don't know when it's going to happen, but are we ready? Can we lie there that day when we're called and stand before Him? Yes, Lord, I have been faithful to you all the days of my life. And when we haven't been, when we've fallen down, what do we have? We have God's tremendous mercy, God's tremendous love for every one of us. He's not holding it back. He's giving it to us. If we have our hearts open to Him, if we have our minds open to Him. This is the God who created you, who created me. How faithful have I been to this God? And it's a question we have to ask in the world in which we live today because of the circumstances in which we live today. You don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. But if we are faithful people day after day after day, that's all that counts. Really. We reach out to our brothers and sisters, we give forgiveness, we give mercy, just as God gives it to us. That's why God's so wonderful and so powerful. And during this time that we're on this planet Earth, we can do a lot. Because the more faithful we are, then the more things we're going to be asked to do by God. We heard that in today's gospel. And we can do it. You can do it. I can do it. We have that power within us. We have to believe that we have that power. And we can use it. Not just for ourselves, but for our brothers and sisters. The ones who are maybe walked away from church and left the parish or wherever else they might be. It's time for us to bring them home because our arms are open to welcome them and to give them mercy, to give them forgiveness, and let's start anew. That's what God has called us to. That's being faithful to the faith in which you and I have been baptized in. The question is that you and I have to ask ourselves, not just today, but every single day that we put our feet on the floor, how am I going to be faithful to this God today? And at the end of the day, when we climb into that bed, ask ourselves again, how have I been faithful to God throughout this day, to my brothers and sisters who I've encountered? Tough questions. But we have the power to do it. We do. Believe in yourself. Believe in this God who has been so wonderful to us, so wonderful to people like Abraham and Sarah, and so many others throughout the centuries. God doesn't change. We have to change so that we're more faithful to Him. And that's our treasure. It's there waiting for us. That kingdom of God is waiting for us, but only if you and I are willing to be faithful followers.